Hey guys, it's Kaz here, and today I'm going to be doing my September wrap up. So in September I read 7 things, and it was another month just like August that I've been reading quite average stuff mostly, which is half annoying, half just meh, you know. It's not the best, but I did read some things that I did enjoy, so hopefully we're on the up. Fingers crossed. So let's just get into it. The first thing I read was Deadpool Volume 9, Institutionalized. This was my least favourite of this run. It was just not good, to be honest. It's got quite a low rating as well, just on Goodreads, because other people agree. Basically, Deadpool is in an institutionalized place. It's been captured, and then there's this woman who is like a doctor, and just the whole way through this whole thing, it's just how ugly and horrible and disgusting and fat and everything she is, and she's crazy and weird and wrong. And even though like Deadpool normally just loves everybody, like in a volume or two before this he marries this random like massive alien woman and he was fine with that, loved her, and she was like 10 times bigger than him. But in this it's just a random woman, and she's just like, every single character in here is just talking about how disgusting and horrible and fat and ugly and weird and creepy she is. And yeah, that was just pretty much the whole volume, and there wasn't really much fun going on. It wasn't funny because like in this institution they're trying to like make him not want to go killing all the people, and then something happens to him which makes him like not have his little internal monologue, so it's not even funny. There's not even like weird stuff, fun stuff happening. It's just kind of just not good. So yeah. And then I'll show you the artwork, because that's what we do here. Here you go, that's the sort of artwork in here. Next up, I read another graphic novel. This was a total random choice. So it was called Oxygen Mask, and it was by Jason Reynolds and Jason Griffin. Jason Griffin being the illustrator and Jason Reynolds being the author. Yeah, this one I just randomly found on my library app when I was at work one time on my break. I was like, I'll read this random thing. It was super quick. I read it in like 20 minutes. And it was really interesting because the artwork in here is all like actual real mixed media, so I'm sure I'll be able to find some sort of online pictures of it here so I can show you. But it was all done in like paint and tape, and it was just really interesting. I kind of really wanted to read it as the original physical thing, because it would have been so like tactile and all the different things going on, like the realistic things. But yeah, basically this is about a family and about how you're all doing your own thing and they're not really talking, and they're all just existing, and they're just watching the TV, and nobody's like interacting, nobody's talking about more important things, that sort of business. It, like I said, I read it in like 20 minutes. There's hardly any words in it. It's very like visual, with the words just being 1 or 2 sentences on each page. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It was something very different, and glad I read it. I like Jason Reynolds. It's a good guy. After that I read The Natural Way of Things by Charlotte Wood, and this one I was kind of enjoying it, like the whole vibe, the whole what was going on. It was random and weird, but then I was expecting something else to happen, and I expected more to happen, but then it just didn't. So basically I'm probably going to spoil this a little bit. I don't know if people are going to read this, but I just want to get to like the cusp of this. So this is portrayed as, what's it called, the fury of contemporary feminism may have found its masterpiece. That's the tagline. Now I've never read A Handmaid's Tale because it is like, oh, think Atwood in the Outback, and but I do know that that's like women's bodies getting used, but I don't know if after that it becomes like, and now the women are fighting back. But in here, because it was talking about modern feminism and contemporary feminism, I was expecting at some point for like the women to realise and then to win. But this whole book is just, well basically I've not even told you anything about the book. So basically it's about these 2 characters, and they wake up and they've been kidnapped by these random people, and there are a bunch of different women there as well, and they've all been kidnapped, and they're all just forced to do hard labour and locked in little tiny rooms at night and fed nothing but gruel and shitty stuff, and they're just there for ages, for like a year or something. And you expect, well I expected at some point for them to like take the power back, if you will, but the whole book is just women getting abused physically, emotionally, mentally, sexually, and then it ends, and this is like the main spoiler, it ends with, so there's our two main characters sort of get away, but like every other woman in the book is just on a bus probably going into sex slavery. It's pretty much just what's going to happen. Like all these women are in this place and they've been fighting tooth and nail, and there's been deaths and there's been a lot of stuff happening, and then this man turns up and he just has loads of like fancy bags and shoes and makeup, and all the women are like, oh woo, we love bags and makeup, and they get on the bus with him, and then they'll go with him to like get sold and have even worse lives. Like, what is that portraying most women as? Because yeah, technically our two main characters, one of them just hides when he turns up because she knows that nothing's going to happen that's good. The other one gets on the bus and then is sat there and thinks this is probably not going to be good, and manages to get off, thrown into the middle of the road. Whether she survives or not, who knows. But like every other woman in this book is portrayed as so shallow that some makeup and a fancy bag is going to make them forget the fact that they've been captured and in this place with a massive electric fence around it for like a year or two and been abused constantly. I just didn't get it. I just don't get it. I didn't get it. So yeah, it potentially would have been good if like the ending was different, but it just felt like a kick in the teeth that the women have been through all of this and then a man can just wave a shiny thing in front of them and then they just carry on letting them own them. What is that portraying? What sort of message is that? I don't know. But yeah, that's how I felt about this one. After that, I read May the Best Man Win by Z.R.L. or Zer. I'm not sure either way. This is a contemporary and it is a exes to enemies to friends to lovers sort of shebang. And I did enjoy this one, luckily. There are some things I did enjoy this month. So yeah, this is following both of them, so it's like dual perspectives, and they're both running for the homecoming king. One of them has recently come out as trans, and like that happened, he split up with his boyfriend, the boyfriend who is now the enemy, and they're both running for homecoming or prom probably, prom king. And yeah, I did really enjoy it. Here's the thing, the characters, especially one of them, what's his name, Jeremy, who is the one that came out trans, dickhead, absolute dickhead, treats everyone like shit, thinks his problems are more important than other people, but that's fine because we don't need to have likeable characters to enjoy the story and enjoy the what's happening and going on, and seeing that he's a teenager and he's going through a lot and he's trans and he's just come out and it's only been a few months and like all of these different things are weighing down on him. I can see why he's, you know, ignoring his friends' problems and doing other stuff and not thinking about other people. It's a teenager, you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't mind about that. I'm not mad about the fact that he's a dickhead. And I just enjoyed this book. Who's the other guy's name? I'm terrible at names. And Lucas is the boyfriend, and he was a lot sweeter, and I liked seeing the different dynamics of both of them. And it's not like real enemies. They sort of talk, but then also sabotage each other a little bit. And this whole thing, like, Lucas doesn't know why Jeremy broke up with him. And it was like, there's darkness in here as well. Like, it looks like a nice, cute contemporary, but like Lucas's brother died recently. So there's like a lot of grief and stuff going on. And he was dumped on his brother's funeral day. So there's like a lot of levels to this and stuff going on. And like the friend group I really enjoyed. I liked it. It was a fun time, and I'm glad it was a fun time because so many books have just been average to meh. We'll take it. That's about halfway through. There's 7. I've talked about 4. That's as halfway through as we can be. So let's head on over to a message for one of the spawns, and then I'll be back with the last few books.
How would you feel about a betting pool on whether his alibi checks out?
So after that I read The Gilded Ones by Namina Fauna, and again this is one I enjoyed, which is good. So I read this as a buddy read and definitely want to carry on with the series. I really enjoyed it. This is a fantasy book, and basically these girls, they're all girls, when they're sort of 16 years old, something starts happening to them, and then if they're cut, their blood runs gold rather than blue rather than red, and then like everybody's like, oh no, they've got this evil thing in them, they're demons, let's just like kill them all off and stuff. But they can only be killed off by the one true death, so they're just like getting tortured and shit and getting killed all these different ways. And then like the emperor dude's like, maybe we should take these peeps and train them so they can be really good soldiers, because they're really strong and fast and hard and obviously can only die in one way. And then there's these other things which are like these creatures, which I cannot remember what they're called because I've just got a spackle in my head, because they're a very, it gives me Knife of Never Letting Go vibes, this book, just like the dynamic of stuff, which potentially is a spoiler if you've read that book and haven't read this book. But yeah, I got them vibes from Death Shrieks is what they're called in here, just these creatures that are going around and killing people, and they're really powerful. So these women are getting taught how to be soldiers and fight them. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one, so good times. I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the world building, the story, I enjoyed where it's going in different directions. The thing that happened at the end of this book feels like something that would happen like at the end of the series. Like something massive happens. I'm like, how is this the first book? And then there's 2 more books at least after this. I'm guessing it's a trilogy. Well, yeah, it feels like a lot is happening. And I will find out more when I read the next one at some point in my life. After that, I read Shipwrecked on the Top of the World, 4 Against the Arctic by David Roberts. So this is a non-fiction about these bunch of sailors. They were walrus hunters in the 1743 who got shipwrecked. Well, they got left on Svalbard, or one of the islands, that's the word I'm looking for, around Svalbard, and then they were there for 6 years and managed to survive by killing animals and eating them. And there was a hut there that previous people had put there. And yeah, this one I gave her 3 stars. It's very, the thing is with this is, rather than just telling you that story, it's mainly about the author finding out that story. And sometimes that works, because like The Expedition by Bia Uzma, 5 stars, absolutely loved it. And this is about her looking into this mystery and figuring out how that happened. That's a polar mystery. This one, it's just very, it's dry, the chapters are long, it's a lot about him going to different institutions in like Russia and Norway and stuff, trying to find information about these people, and then not finding the information because it's really scarce, and then bureaucracy of trying to get to these different, oh, we need to go to this place, but they say that you have to ask this person to be able to get it, but we can't find this person, we have to send a fax to this person. And it's a lot of that, rather than like the interest in how it happened, when it happened, what happened, the characters behind it. So it was fine, but it was quite dry, and it wasn't as interesting as it could have been if it was written in a different way, because it's very like every chapter is just him trying to find stuff and then not being able to find stuff, pretty much. And then last but not least, I read Stags by M.A. Bennett. This is a, what would you call it, like a YA thrillery type thing about these people that are in a boarding school, and then they get invited to this hunting, shooting, fishing weekend with the privileged kids at school, and our main character, who I can't remember the name of, imagine that. No, it's like Guria or something. I think her name's Guria. I can't find it. I'm pretty sure it's Guria. Anyway, so she gets invited to this thing, and then while they're there, there's like 3 students that are invited to it that are outcasts, and then while there, stuff keeps happening. Accidents, hunting accidents, shooting accidents. Oh, is it an accident? Are they actually doing it on purpose, sort of thing? That's the thrillery mystery vibe of it. This one, I feel like it could have been better, but I really didn't gel with the writing style. It felt very juvenile. There was not really much there, the characters or the style. the thing that annoyed me the most is our main character, first of all, is written after the fact, which is not as compelling, because you know, like, everybody is fine, stuff happened, but it's fine, because it's like, oh yeah, and here's what happened next, and you know, it's not the best written that way. But every time she's explaining or describing something, she says sort of, so she's like, oh yeah, and then there was a sort of gate there that looks like this, and then there was a kind of this thing, and that in its own just grated a little bit. But I thought it was Greer's voice, but then all the characters were talking in their dialogue and they were doing the same thing, so it's just the author not being able to describe things, I think. Oh yeah, it's kind of like this, it's sort of like that. It was just not giving what I wanted it to give. And it's funny because I wrote a one-line review of this. I thought, it's alright, I'll probably carry on with the series. But then like a day or two into finishing this, I think, you know what, I'm probably not going to carry on with the series because I'm not that invested, and it's just more books to read that's going to be average, and we don't want more average stuff, so I'm not going to carry on with this series. It was fine, but I didn't really care about any of the characters, and the writing wasn't very good, so yeah. That was the end. That was what I read in September. Let me know down below what you read in September. Any thoughts, feelings about what I've talked about, all that jazz. And yeah, comment if you want, like if you want, subscribe if you want, all that. And I will see you in a few days, potentially. We're a week into October and this is my first video, so potentially with another video. Bye.